name is Terrence Lee Whitaker, known as Terry, and my rank was IC2SS, which is Interior Communications Electrician. When I was a junior in high school, I enlisted in the Naval Reserve in Tampa. And at the time I enlisted, I was assured I would be going to submarine school. When I went into the reserves, we had meetings every week for that first year or so, so they deemed that I did not need to go to basic training. So I never went to boot camp. I went straight to submarine school, and then I went to a ship, and then I went to ICA school. So I went a different route than a lot of people. I figured if I didn't know it by then, I didn't know it. Well, as an Army brat, it wasn't too bad. My father was a military officer, my brother went in the Air Force, and I went in the Navy. We did our time in the Army. So it wasn't a big transition from a learning how to do things standpoint and what was expected. Like I said, living in Florida, the Cuban crisis is real close on our minds because it got a little hairy here for a while. Vietnam had started, and I wanted to go to the West Coast. So I had asked to go to a West Coast boat. I wanted to get as far away from Florida as I could as a learning experience, and I got there. So when I graduated from high school, I left immediately for New London to submarine school. Submarine school is a challenge for everybody, for learning how the boat functions and how the boat works. Everybody goes to the same submarine school, and the hydraulics and the electric part of the boat, and it's all really kind of interesting if you're inclined to want to do that. I kind of thought I was a tough guy, so the reason I went to submarine service is I thought they were pretty tough fellows. There were some there. And submarine school itself, like I said, is very rigorous. We weeded out a lot of people that just didn't want to be there or weren't fit to be there. And that's one thing I always liked about it, is it was voluntary, so there was nobody whining and fussing that they didn't want to be there. Daily life, we were trained for emergency situations on the boat, and what to do and what scenarios on the boat. You really don't get too involved. The only time you get on a boat, I think it was the Growler, we went out on to dive and surface, and those folks showed us, and of course all the qualified submariners, we were certainly peons to them. But it's experience to see if you can get the feeling. And the first time you submerge on a submarine as a kid, it is a little bit interesting. But we learned how the hydraulic systems work, how the air systems work, how the electrical systems work, and how you put them all together to make the boat surface and dive. We learned about some of the weaponry that was used at the time. And the daily life on a submarine, they tell you about it, but you have to experience it to understand it. That's like people that have never been on a submarine don't quite understand about submariners. After I went to submarine school, I was assigned to the USS Delta AR-9, which is a repair ship out of San Diego, because the Spinix was in Westpac, and she was getting ready to come home in a few months. So I stayed on the Delta for several months. It was a big, ugly ship. But she wasn't made to be pretty. She was made to repair things on other ships. So I spent my time fixing things that went to other ships that were engaged in CDD. We went to sea one time. It's a whole lot bigger. And of course, being new on board, you have to learn your way around the ship first thing. And like I said, the camaraderie is not there. There's people that got drafted that did not want to be there. They were stuck there, and so it's such a different atmosphere than a submarine. Like I said, everybody wants to be there. So you had to deal with all these other people that were passing through, if you will. Different ships would come in with electronics that were broken or damaged, or electrical systems that needed repair, and they'd send them up to us, we'd repair them and send them back, much like an AS does for submarines. Well, I had made third class, which was good to be traveling with. When I reported on the Spinix, I was a third class IC-man, and she was in the yard, so my first impression was, holy mackerel. I thought the hull was about a foot thick on submarines, and it's about 5/8 of an inch on ours. So it was pretty small, and they had big holes cut in her, and it was a little bit intimidating to see that you were going to go see this thing. But the advanced, there's no way to prepare for it, I guess. You just show up, and again, you start at the bottom of the chain and start your qualifications.